back to another episode of Built Different with Levi Wanner. I've got a second-time guest here, Jeff Shearer, your friendly heating guy, owner and operator of Comfort Heating here in Billings, Montana. He's our first recurring guest. He must like us. So welcome back, Jeff. I think, the followers met you last time, so we kind of know the origin story and that you're a North Dakotan and all that kind of fun stuff. That's probably why you get so many followers. Everybody loves the North Dakotans.
Everybody loves the North Dakotans, yeah.
Right. Everybody loves to make fun of the North Dakotan.
Yeah.
Except
if you're in North Dakota, then you make fun of Polish and Norwegians.
Right.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Montana.
Minnesota. Cozy's actually North Dakota as well.
Okay.
So, I think let's kick off. You've got a really good TikTok channel that everybody should check out, which is the Friendly Heating Guy as well. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm at the Friendly Heating Guy.
Which is not normal for your blue collar worker business owner to be on social media, let alone have a great following. So, what kind of made you push out of your comfort zone and start showing and sharing your everyday life?
Well, the big thing is I just realized that that's what people do. It used to be if you needed an estimate, you went to the phone book and you found 4 or 5 companies and you called them and you got an estimate. Well, nowadays people literally want to know who you are. And so they literally troll your life. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, TikTok, on and on and on. And so people will watch some videos about who you are and what you are before they decide to give you a call for an estimate. And so I decided to do that. So I've got a YouTube channel, and then I've got Instagram, Facebook, the Friendly Heating Guy, and then some other ones that really haven't taken off, like Threads and X is good, but I think for me, X is not the environment that I want to get my message across. But that was the big thing, just letting people know who we are. And it's a really neat platform to show not only what we do for work, but how we live and where we live.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because, we're in Montana, and I always say we're a little bit behind everybody.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad.
Yeah.
Just like for us, we're one of the only builders with a website even.
Yes.
And we're one of the only builders that has an office, that has an HQ. So to kind of step out of the norm and have that Facebook page, have those Instagram and TikTok channels, kind of get you out to the people that are actually buying.
Yes.
Especially, what we find is, Instagram is great for national, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Facebook is people that are local,
Yes.
that are looking. So
I think TikTok's pretty local as well.
TikTok definitely is local, and a lot of it is all, of course, in your hashtags, and as to what you're doing. So when you put your locations in on, and that's what's important on TikTok, Facebook, whatever, is saying you're in Billings, Montana, and using your business location over and over and over. That makes those algorithms really find you in those areas.
So did you have, when you first started on TikTok, did your kids teach you how to do it? How did you?
No, I don't even know that my kids really are on it other than just messing around. They're all on Snapchat, I guess, is the big one. It was one thing. I kept hearing about TikTok, and so I got on it. And then all it was young girls dancing, and it was just weird stuff. But then I kind of left it. But then all of a sudden, the demographics really changed on TikTok. Rather than being young kids, there was a lot more people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that were enjoying TikTok. And when that started happening, then I was like, okay, this is the people that I want to be in front of. And so at first I just watched and learned and stuff. Then I was like, okay, let's create a page. And then I just went for it. So
do you edit your own videos, or do you have someone do it?
I haven't have anybody do anything yet. At this point, I am 100% the social media guy. We have, through our manufacturer, Ream has some ads that they throw on social media and stuff that they have targeted. But for the most part, all my YouTube content, all the Instagram, Facebook, that's all me. And it's just on an afternoon, I'll just drive by someone's house or project or just see something cool. I mean, it could be a sunrise, it could be a mountain, it could be an antelope in a field,
And you just record it.
I just record it, and then the neat thing is you can sit there on your phone and literally post, and you don't want to reuse the same video, or if you made it on TikTok, don't take the TikTok and put it on YouTube. You want each one to be individual, but I can use the same video and literally in 5-10 minutes have it on 5 different platforms. So
it's crazy. Was there any fear or hesitation posting that first video? Like if your brother Tony was going to make fun of you?
Yeah, in a way there really was. I was worried about, what the guys at the shop would say. Oh, Jeff's on TikTok.
Your Blue Walker tin workers are exactly that.
But it was funny. The first time I went live, I think half the guys at the shop were my only people that were on my live. And then they were trying to help me out. They would be like, so I just have a question. I'd be like, okay, go ahead. And they're like, so what does it take to put a humidifier on your furnace? It's like they were literally trying to guide the live, and so it was interesting. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because there's definitely some vulnerability.
There is.
And putting yourself out there, and you kind of feel like a doucher the first 100 times you do it.
Yeah, and being live, especially on your own, and I haven't done it as much. My problem is like in this environment, I feel great. I'm comfortable. My problem is in so many of the lives, you're literally just sitting there staring at the camera, and it's just you and a camera and a bunch of comments scrolling on the screen. And then I feel alone, which is crazy because I'm an introvert, so introverted, but yet I'm a terrible, wonderful extrovert. I'm an introverted extrovert. I hate getting out, but once I do, I'm a heck of a lot of fun. But it's the same thing with these. I have a hard time being in my room or wherever, just doing these lives. But I found people just literally love to sit and watch you work. You don't even have to talk. You just turn the live on and do a takeoff on a blueprint. People just love it. They just sit and watch you.
Well, because it's interesting. I mean, it's even me watching you guys do your work in a house is still interesting.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that worry? Is it just kind of like jump into the fire?
Yeah, that's all you can do. The live is a whole different thing. You just have to literally just say, I'm willing to do this. But the other part is setting apart the time, and the big thing, which I have not done yet, but I'm planning to do more that is slowing down, is you have to have a set schedule. People will start liking you. And so it's like, I'm going to be live every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 until 8 Mountain Time or whatever. And they look for you. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Cozy and I like to do a lot of like funny reels and stuff, and a lot of it is our normal life, just me making fun of Cozy, because that's my comfort zone.
Sure.
Have you found it really enjoyable? Like that for me, it's brought out a little bit of the creative side that I didn't know that I had.
I agree, and it's one of the so on my Friendly Heating Guide page, the neat thing is what I like is showing people what I like and what we do as a company and what we get to see. Like I did a bunch of photos from Yellowstone Park. There's people that live and will make lifetime plans to go to Yellowstone Park, and I could do it in a weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been one time, and I lived in Montana.
Exactly.
And I only went through like one little park.
Yeah, and I try to go 3 times a year, but what we do and where we're at, it's just neat. And so I like to showcase the jobs we do, what the guys do, and how that can relate. And then, just telling people, hey, if you work hard, you got to play hard too. There's some neat podcasts and stuff that I've been listening to. We all work and work and work and work. For what? So the YouTubes and this and that, it allows me just to be a little, like you said, a little creative and a little fun and not just work.
Yeah, but then it's hard too, because then at first were you like, what I do is not interesting. Like, this is boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. It's like it was like, would I watch my content? And then, so I go back every so often, I go through some of my videos, and it's like, it's pretty cool. You see some things that builders put into their homes, like the Parade Home was a really neat opportunity, this last one. I mean, pickleball courts, climbing wall slides through the house, auxiliary, what do they call them, ADUs, auxiliary living units or
Yeah.
whatever. There was just so much creativity, and unfortunately, our stuff is hidden. The only thing you see in a parade home of ours is a register or a thermostat,
Right.
fireplace,
Yeah.
But the majority of our work is gone. It's in the basement.
It's all owned by sheetrock and stuff like that. So the last question on TikTok and social media, a lot of our followers that watch our show are blue collar workers and own the blue collar companies. What's some advice that you can give them for starting, and just general tips to get going, because it does drive a lot of revenue and customers to your business.
It definitely does. Talking about that, like when I first started TikTok, I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a TikTok millionaire. I'm gonna monetize and I'm gonna do this and that. And that really wasn't my focus. More it was driving to the business and what we do. The best advice I have is just be real. If you're proud of what you do, show it off. If you're proud of the process, if you're proud of your products, if you're proud of your team, do it. That's where it all matters, is just show and be real and show what you're proud of, and even your mistakes. I've got one or two on there where I was like, look, we didn't do this drain right, and we literally took out a whole floor.
Ow.
And it's ouch, but that's the realistic side of the business,
Yeah.
So
Jeff, are you ever like, oh, I look chubby, I'm not going to post that?
yeah, it's been a struggle of mine my whole life. I look chubby. My wife takes a picture. It's like, geez, I'm fat. And what's getting me right now is my bald spot. I don't like my bald spot, but I don't like wearing hats. So it's like, I just have to get over it and just be real. And unfortunately, one of the things is that I haven't had a lot of content with me. It's all about where I'm at, what I'm doing, the job, on and on. There's very few photos that exist of me on any of my social
Just on our podcast.
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook is all pretty friendly. TikTok people are nasty.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
savage. Levi's gotten roasted on there.
Roasted.
Oh, you can.
Oh, yeah.
People, and
What did the one guy say? He's a,
Well, he's too chubby to be building houses or something.
yeah, people are just.
That was
It's
15
like,
pounds ago.
yeah, and they
Sorry, more
just
than
get brutal about that, and it's like, oh my gosh. And the thing is people do that, and the biggest thing is you just have to ignore it, because in years past, people would walk by and they would judge you, and they'd say that in their own head.
Right.
Now they can do this. I mean, we're sitting here with a computer and a camera and phones and on and on and on,
Yeah.
and
They don't
anybody
say
sitting
your face
anywhere in the
now.
world could just say, "Dang, Jeff,
Right.
blue isn't your color," or
They're not afraid of getting punched in the mouth.
yeah, they're not, and that's yeah. I noticed that with my kids too. It's amazing that there are some things. It's like when you in the past broke up with someone, you had to break up with them. Now you just don't talk to them and it's all social media. It's just there's just so many weird things, but I like it. I like the fact that people can know who we are before they know who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You get the little bit of the realism, and we act the same way we act every day. And I love the fact that you do that. Do you find yourself kind of geeking out on trying to keep up with what the algorithms are doing?
To a point, I've done some. I mean, there is content available that will help push you and stuff. Some of my most popular videos have to do with cows. Like my kids have a cattle company, the Pearl Cattle Company in Arizona. And when they post content about calves and on, they get so much.
I
And
love
so-
cows.
Yeah, I love
I
cows.
get it.
And so when I go down there, I try and make a whole bunch of content about the cows. And I throw it on there, and people just love them.
Really?
Some of my best performing videos are literally about these cows. Or my granddaughter, she was sitting there in the stable the other day, and she was counting them all. 1, 2. She's two years old, but she counts the cows, and then she Facebooks me, or FaceTimes me, and it's so cool. Last night, or night before, she's like, "Yeah, I'm walking around, and I'm gonna go see Tari and Pee Wee and the Swede, and that's the horses, and But people absolutely love real. It's real cows. It's the real family on the farm. It's the real guys in my job, And so it's that vulnerability of showing that, because so many people nowadays don't even want to post their vacation until they come back, because it's like someone's going to know I'm not home. Or like on our jobs, someone's going to dog your job. Probably. There's a chance, they don't like the way the furnace was set or the hanging heater was this or that. Use it as an opportunity. I've had people troll me so hard and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you'd use that heater and stick it in that corner. I just come right back and I said, I value your opinion. However, this is a brand that we've found. It works extremely well for us. Sorry you didn't have that same experience. And however, the reason I set it in the corner is so that the heat blows to the corner and comes all the way around the garage rather than just blowing right out the door. Then the person responds back, never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So it went from a negative to a positive in a quick hurry.
And more interaction,
Yeah.
which makes it.
And it helps your algorithm.
It's just like the Google reviews. Okay, I've got I'm working on 800 and some Google reviews, which we really just started working on last summer. And I've got a couple smaller, 1, 2 stars, whatever, very few. I think we've got a 4.9 rating or whatever. But a negative review is also a learning opportunity. That's real. A company that is literally, like for us, we've got 42 years in business. My brother and I have owned it 25 years. If you don't have a negative review, you're not real. We have screwed up. We screwed up on your homes before and we've had to go in and fix things.
Oh, absolutely.
But we do. We fix them, so.
That's great. Well, let's get a little bit into owning a business and entrepreneurship. We have such a changing landscape in being a business owner, and even since the last time we talked,
Yes.
Things have changed. What does entrepreneurship look like to you right now?
Prison? No.
Well, especially since we are about the same age, and we've got kids coming up in the businesses and stuff like that.
The market's a little tougher, I would imagine, for you guys as well.
Yeah, the market is a little tougher. The landscape changed. We had one of the biggest things that affected us this year was the worldwide mandate of a refrigerant change. And so all of a sudden now we've got a lack of equipment and this and that. And then there's these fights between different countries. Well, how does that affect us? Well, China owned the rights to this valve that went on these certain bottles that had this refrigerant. China didn't release the valve. So we've got millions and millions of pounds of refrigerant that couldn't be put into jugs on a refrigerant that was mandated by law to be installed on equipment after January 1st. So now manufacturers, they haven't got to the point where they were adding refrigerant to systems so that guys like us in the field could pull it out and store it in a tank. And the problem is the industry keeps going. The building industry is a big part of our business. The weather is a big part of our business. Last year was a very mild winter. We didn't have the furnace replacements that we normally have, and on and on. It was looking a little skinny there for a while. Then all of a sudden, all this tariffs on and on. The builders weren't letting loose. There was a lot of things, and then all of a sudden one day it just went boom. And I'd rather have the problem of trying to find guys to put on jobs rather than finding jobs to give the guys. And so those are the big challenges. And the political landscape, sometimes it's tough. You don't know what regulation is going to get you next, and that's the big problem, And that could be local government, state government, federal, whatever. It's definitely different.
It's different, and the political landscape is tough because everybody thought when Trump got elected, the floodgates were going to open.
Yes.
We're just finding out that's not the case.
No, it's not. And there's only so much a person can do. And, that's a tough thing, too, is all of us have our own beliefs, whether it be religious or political or whatever. I literally go into a multitude of people's homes every week, and I see pictures of Trump with darts in it, or I see this, or I see that. The big thing is just keeping your mouth shut.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get dragged into those conversations, no matter where you lean. You're just there to look at the furnace or the blinds or the carpet or whatever. You're not there to make a political statement.
No, absolutely. You're not going to make any friends either way.
It's just like I learned years ago, and I told my guys, I said, leave their families alone. I was a young salesperson. I remember walking into a house, and there was a picture of a gal up above the mantle. Well, I knew her. I'd gone to school with her. And I'm going to make up her name. I'm just going to say it's Angie. But I walked in and I was like, dang, Angie's looking good. And her dad bossed me out of the house. And I literally, he's just like, that's not appropriate. That's my daughter.
Oh.
And I have 3 daughters, but I didn't mean anything about it. I knew her since 7th grade, So anyway, I ended up apologizing through her. And she's like, oh, Dad, but I did end up getting back in. But it's those things. That's, in today's day and age, there's so many trigger points and so fast, you just have to be neutral.
Neutral is the best way to put it, and because everybody's so flooded with media and opinions that just keeping your opinion to yourself is a statement.
Yes,
in itself.
And it can be anything. I mean, you drive up in a Dodge, and the guy's like, "How'd you like that Dodge?" It's like, I love it. I would know the Dodge. It's like some days you don't even know what you can answer.
Right, Absolutely. How many employees do you guys have now?
I was thinking about that. I think there's altogether, including us, I think there's 32.
Wow, that's a big company in Montana. And since you and Tony took over the company, how you lead that team has changed. Everybody wants to talk about every generation is the laziest, and when we were coming up, we're what Gen X or whatever they want to call it.
Yep.
Like at that point, my dad said how lazy we were.
Yeah.
And you keep hearing it.
We were just talking about it.
We were just talking about that. How's your leadership style changed?
Well, a lot of it is recognition. One of the things is like when I was younger, if you didn't hear anything from the boss, you were doing good. Today's day and age, if they're not hearing from the boss, they don't feel they're doing good. So you do have to bring that up and let people know they're doing good. And there's nothing wrong with letting people know they're good. The other way is communication. It is so much easier to get information to my guys during the day through texting than it is anything else. And generationally, it is different. My biggest gap, or my biggest problem is millennials. In my opinion, they were never exposed or knew anything about the trades whatsoever. Not that they hold you in disdain or they're like thinking you're nothing. They didn't know they existed, And so most of my employees are either Gen X or Gen Z, literally. We have 2 30-year employees, one of them just recently, but there is a big difference between all of us, and the missing gap for us is the millennials, which is very tough because we have very young and very old. And and all of us demand something slightly different.
Absolutely.
But there's things we can learn. We do. I've learned more to value my time off and my families and stuff from the younger folks. Honestly, just because that was so extremely important to them. Mm-hmm. To my boomer parents, it was about the paycheck. It was about showing up and making your day. Yeah. And sometimes you just have to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it is hard too, right? Because like you said, when you were young, you went to work and you put your head down and you didn't want to hear from anybody. Yeah. And to where now to have to switch to be like, I would never want that, so I would never want to do that. Yeah,
and there was a time you didn't want to get called into Dad's office.
Oh no,
there was nothing good that came out of it. And to you,
he wasn't going to high five you.
No, you're not kidding. You weren't going to get a raise or something going on there. When you got called into the office, it was a different story. So,
and that's a good point that you make because there's so much instant communication now.
Yes,
and I talked to our good friend Bob Pentecost, who's been building for 40 years, and I'm like, how did you build houses before cell phones?
Yes.
Because if I go into a house and I'm like, oh, we're missing the thermostat, I can call Jeff or Tony and be like, hey, we're missing this. Yes. Where 30 years ago, like he would tell me they put a phone up on a phone pole by the house. Yeah. And just the instant communication is a lot harder than
the first instant when I first started, and this only goes back to '95. But my dad our service techs had beepers and our key personnel. And we actually made a code book. So like code 105 was call the office, code whatever, And to call the office though, we issued the guys rolls of quarters for payphones. So they would either go to a payphone or they would go to a supply house or something to make a phone call to call back into the shop. And then we went to two-way radios and then cell phones, and now everybody in my shop is iPad, cell phone, what have you, and there's
that's wild.
Yeah, but I mean that's just in my time frame. I mean, all of us used to have bricks, and you would, when we got in big trouble for that one night, we were so inappropriate. It was a late job. Most of us were on it. We just started screwing around, cussing on the radio, all this stuff. We literally got a letter from the radio company and the FCC because those are open channels. And you can't just literally, yeah. So anyway.
I bet your dad was happy about that.
Yeah, that was a crazy time, But yeah, I remember my first brick phone,
Do you feel like Don Johnson?
Oh, I did. I couldn't wait. It was like Cellular One, I think was the company in those days. And it was at a home show and they had a big booth set up with the cell phones. And there was a special, they like $70. But all they did was make a phone call. But they never dropped.
No?
And that thing was huge in a big leather case.
It was like $8 a minute.
Yeah.
Case of the
Yeah, it was all minutes. And there was no texting.
No.
It was fun.
I remember when texting came out and you had to do like so many.
I literally said when texting came out, I don't think this is going to catch on.
Yeah.
And it was because you had to do like the T9 thing.
Yeah, you did. And so, like for us, that communication was tough. I mean, for most times, we were given our job assignment in the morning because I worked in the field before I did sales and stuff. You would literally get your assignment and you went to the job site and then people would check in or whatever, but you were gone. And then you came back in, the next morning and kind of said what you did. We're even putting cameras in our vans. And part of that is just protecting our guys. We had one that the guy was like, "Your driver this and your driver that." And so I pulled up the camera and I said, "Well, with all due respect, it looks like you slammed on your brakes right in front of him." And he's like, "You guys have cameras?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." And it literally ended the conversation. He knew he was in the wrong. I had him on tape, but my guy at that point would have been in trouble before.
Absolutely. Do you think when you had to just go to the job site and do your job, you probably learned a lot better decision-making skills on your own, problem-solving skills on your own, because you couldn't just call the boss and be like, "How do you
couldn't
do
just
this?"
call, and you had to, one of the things is like my guys, I tell them plan ahead. At the end of the night, make a list so that in the next morning you can have everything you need, and that's still one of the things that's lacking. And now they have the ability to order parts by an app, order parts by a phone, do this, do that, and how you're not ready the next day, I still don't understand that. But there's just so many ways and so many ways of getting information. The furnaces have QR codes. You can scan it and get all this data. Cell phones, on and on and on. We have customers that literally we have their cell phone account or their thermostat account, so that because they're older and they want to be monitored or whatever. So when they have a problem, we just tell them, we're going to come in and we can literally get into their furnace from remotely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
like, "Gladys, did you change your filter?" "Oh, no." Getting an airflow code or something. Yeah.
Let's switch gears to what I think is probably one of the most important conversations is getting young people into the trades.
Yeah. The biggest thing is we as a trade environment, I mean plumbers, electricians, builders, roofers, and manufacturing. In buildings, we just don't have a lot of manufacturing, but there is so many things that go into building a house. I mean, all the materials are made somewhere. They're all shipped here. And then there's all the people that have to put everything together. The amount of people that are involved in one home is phenomenal. The problem is a lot of us are getting old. And there is so many abilities for young folks to make a beautiful career doing something that they like forever. Being an electrician, being a builder, framing. I mean, there's people that can use mathematics. There's people that can use all these skills that they learned, and you can be out and about. The biggest thing is that, in my opinion, this has to start in 7th or 8th grade. This isn't even a high school conversation anymore. This is literally, people have to know in junior high that there is these things available. And we've just got to be better at letting people know that we exist.
Absolutely. And to your point, I bet you there's 300 to 400 people that, from the lumber to the foundation, that touch each individual house.
And it's phenomenal the number of people that touch this. So if we let people know that there is things available for them to do, and just try it out, I think it's great. And that's where, to me, the friendly heating guy also took off, is because I show things of some of my young guys in the field of jobs that are neat, job locations, whatever. And so people can decide if they really like it or not. You know?
100%. And these young kids need to realize the great living that you can make in these trades.
Well, that's it. My father never had a college degree. He raised us well. We were comfortable. We had what we needed. You know, guys, Elon Musk doesn't have a college degree.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Either Bill Gates didn't.
Neither did. I think they're some of the richest men in the world, and you know, didn't have a college degree.
And the world needs nurses and accountants and stuff like that.
Oh,
we also need to keep our houses warm when it's 40 below zero.
Yes, and there is so many things. Once you own that house, you know, you want new blinds, you want this, you want that. There's just so many things that you can do to create a valued career.
Absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of the kids think that, you know, like when we were in school, it was like go to college, so you can not have to do the labor jobs.
Yes.
But now the highest paying jobs are the trades.
We've really kind of moved into that. You know, as there's a shortage, the shortage creates demand, and when the demand is high, the price goes up. Mm-hmm. It's like anything else. The reason that gold is valuable is because it's hard to get, and there's only so much value, you know. So it's the same thing with tradesmen and trades ladies. That's the other thing too. Ladies, enter the trades.
100%.
You know, it's just that you can demand good wages, and you can demand good benefits, and you can demand, you know, different things, and be comfortable and enjoy what you're doing. That's the thing. I can drive around town and still remember houses that I put the heating systems in.
Yep. And
now I'm doing estimates saying, oh, I put this in, and you know, hopefully the customer is like, well, it's worked well.
Absolutely.
You know.
So it's a big thing. There's a reason that they're calling it the gold collar, not the blue collar.
Yeah, it has changed.
Our kids need to realize that.
It is, and the ladies in the trades, so much more. I see it. You know, there's lady-owned electrical companies, and you see lady electricians, lady plumbers, lady concrete workers. The other day, I think the framing crew was almost all women.
Oh, really?
And they were all up on the big GLG up on the thing, putting roofing up and stuff. And it was literally, there was 3 of them up there that were ladies. And I just love seeing it, you know, because they're every bit as capable. But the other thing is, too, is I have a lot less, from like what you've heard and stuff, you know, a lot of guys just already think they know what they're doing. A gal's not going to just go in and assume that. She's going to just do it right. And so, in a lot of times, quality and everything else improves by having a lot of women in your.
That's fantastic. So. You know, and the stigma is like then you get the gossip and stuff. But being a home builder for 15 years, I get more gossip from the dudes on the job than you do
it's insane. Yeah, the gossip thing and on and on. But I've just noticed that when the gals are on the site, you know, like these electricians and stuff, everything just goes so much smoother.
Absolutely.
Because nobody wants to be outworked by a girl, you know, and you know, and so you know, and I've seen it, you know, so yeah, it's pretty interesting.
What is your comfort heating and buildings? I bet you guys have 80% of the new construction business.
I think it's closer to 60, and that goes up and down depending on how much you guys are putting in.
Right.
We have a good part of the market of the builders that are building the most. And so we have a very large percentage of that, which also feeds into the other side of the business because every one of your homeowners is one of our clients, hopefully. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's one reason we like doing what we do.
Absolutely. And then, you know, you do the you know, the maintenance and all of that. So that's great.
Yeah.
What's your guys' view on competition? I'm super competitive, hyper competitive.
Yeah.
Do you look at your competition to see what they're doing, or do you guys just kind of do your own thing and let them catch up?
You know, I have, and there's some really, really good competitors, and there's some that are not such good competitors. The thing is Tony and I are going to do what we do, and we're going to do it to the best that we possibly can. We feel like we've done a good model, and in some ways, we feel that other companies have followed us. And there are some tricks of the trade or different things that we have taken from other companies. The big thing is just being true to the values that we learned from our dad, the values that we learned from each other, and just being the best company that we can. And hopefully, if we do things right, it improves our whole industry. One of the problems is as tradespeople, we don't have the same ability. Like when you build a house, you know what it's going to sell for most part.
Sometimes.
And yeah. But you've got this number, and you have to meet these costs so that hopefully there's this gap in the middle called profit. For us, it's kind of there, but yet we don't know. So many things are fluid. Yes, we know when we do a blueprint, we've got these costs, this margin, we're going to bid it. But, all of a sudden the homeowner comes in and they move a heat run from here to here, and we do it and we don't bill for it. It's not a big deal. But if you moved 100 heat runs in a year, all of a sudden that, so it's trying to just do the very best you can, put your sticker on it, have a lot of pride, and almost not worry about what the other guy in the other lane is doing.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, in the 15 years since I've started building, we haven't used, you're one of the only trades that we haven't ventured off and got switched or you even have two of because of the volume that we're doing. And for me, the biggest thing is you and your brother are so personal. When a homeowner, because things are going to go wrong. We know that. And when things go wrong, when you call the customer, you're very pleasant. You take care. You treat them as your client as well.
Absolutely.
And for me, that's a big thing because we want to take care of those problems.
Yes.
And do that. In running a business, small business, cash flow is always a problem.
Yeah.
Do you have habits or systems that you I also love that you'll send out a quarterly email like how many houses are you going to start, so then we can start buying product and get the lowest prices for us. So I know that's a habit. What other disciplines do you have to try to mitigate those?
Well, there's only so much you can do with marking up equipment. So the only other thing that you can do is try and improve efficiency. Callbacks are the cancer of our society. When you're done with a house, but you have to go back because the thermostat wasn't wired correctly, that's a waste of time, resources, energy. So it's trying to be as good as you can, as fast as you can, and as correct as you can. That's where you can maximize your best. Like today, it hurts. We're busy, but we have 9 or 10 of our sheet metal installers in a class. It's a half a day. It's being put on by one of our suppliers, and the class is about duct design and airflow. Okay, if they know more of that, the systems only get better, and that will improve us and will improve the experience for the customer. But it hurts. It's a sacrifice to go to that class.
Sure.
I've got 8 guys that aren't in the field, which is going to create a little backlog. But it's one of those things you have to train, and you have to be willing to take that next step. So that's my biggest thing is look at your own processes, look at your own things, and improve them.
Absolutely, and that short-term pain is going to learn to, in theory, long-term success.
Yeah.
And education in our business is such a pivotal thing because just like you were talking about with the refrigerants, things are changing.
Yes.
One of my pet peeves is like, well, this is how we've always done it.
Yes.
That term to me is just the killer of progress.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. And for us, it's, someone comes in from another shop. Well, that's not how they do it. Well, great. One of the things that we do is like we have some apprentice tinners that come in, and we try and run them with more and more and more of the experienced guys. And part of the reason that we run them with all the different guys is because there's more than one way to hang a piece of duct. You wouldn't think so, but there is. And so what we try and tell people is find your way of doing this and doing that. If you do it correctly and you do it efficiently, who cares how you got there? And I don't like not being able to change, we're setting up furnaces with Bluetooth that 8 months ago we weren't. Literally the furnaces, when you first fire it up, there's a sticker on them, and you pull out your phone with the Ream app, and you're literally setting up that furnace for the first time.
Crazy.
You can't get into the Bluetooth ever again with it, just that one time.
Huh.
But you have to train a guy.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, they're trying to get the furnace to fire and it's not. It's like, well, did you do the app? What?
Right. And then in 6 months, that technology changes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's constantly moving. All right, well, we'll wrap it up with a couple of questions here. How do you measure success? In your mind, some businesses, obviously, like the bottom line. Some businesses, it's time, freedom, reputation. What is your and Comfort Heating's measuring stick for success?
For me, it's feedback. One of my favorite things is like being at the home show, and people come up to you and they're like, "Man, Comfort Heating, we have used you guys for years," or things like that. That's what validates that you're doing it right. The money that you make is only the business side of things, but I like the personal touch. I like running into a guy on the street and I'm like, "Hey Jeff, how's it going? You put that furnace in for us 15 years ago. It's working great. I'm going to call you because I'm thinking about doing this." And it's the fact that we don't have to spend so much money on advertising because we have this huge referral market and people are telling their friends, their neighbors, whatever about us. That's success. Is when your customers tell other people how good you are because they're putting their own reputation on the line.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Last question, because we've already done the hate to lose question. Where do you see yourself and Comfort Heating in 5 to 10 years? Have you started thinking of the end game, the exit?
Yeah. My brother and I definitely have. I turned 56 in 2 weeks. I don't know about retirement fully on, but we are working with the third generation. My youngest
Which is the goal. Right?
Which is a goal.
Yeah.
And really, we'd like to keep it a family-owned business. And so we have a number of team members and family that we're starting to look at maybe pulling back a little bit or this or that. But it'd still be a number of years. My brother's 3 years younger than me, so maybe I'll be out of it before he is or whatever. But yeah, I think that there is an end goal of wanting to maybe just get in that RV. And I have this dream of doing what I want to call a brown sign vacation. So when you're driving down the highway and you see the brown sign that says historical thing, or there's a buffalo jump, or there was this old Indian village, I literally just want to go down the road and just see every brown sign.
No appointment,
no appointment, no nothing. Just drive and look at the brown signs that people never go to.
Yeah.
We've got a battlefield out at the end of 80th and Grand that people in Billings, most people don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's a neat, developed battlefield.
Yeah.
They've got the signs and there's a gazebo out there and stuff. But that's what I'm talking about, seeing that.
Yeah, that would be a cool YouTube channel.
It really would be.
That would be super cool. And that's
a brown sign channel.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing like what your dad did and still going to job sites? Just,
I think a little bit. And working with the salespeople. And that's one of the neat things, I guess, doing primarily sales and speaking and what have you, the social media, mine isn't really bound by age. I'm not, and it's fortunate that I'm not in the field on a consistent basis. I don't gonna get sore and on and on and on. I can work on blueprints for many, many years.
Yep.
I can do in-home estimates and on and on, though the attics and the crawl spaces get a little harder every year.
Especially when you're my size.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, we're different than the generation before us. Take care of it. I see you at the gym all the time. We take care of ourselves. We're not aging quite as.
No, I'm in much better shape in my mid-50s than I ever was in my 40s.
Yeah, you think that helps your mental clarity and everything?
Absolutely. I can run to the gym, take that class for that hour, and just let it go. And that's a big thing. And then just challenging myself. I'm really right now, my personal mindset is kind of the warrior mentality. I really want to do that of being there for my family, for my country, for my guys, for my employees, for my customers, is me being available for them, but taking so much of that for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to be selfish with your self-care. So, well, I want to thank you again for being here again, dude. This is always so much fun.
I enjoy it. It's always neat to learn and talk.
Everybody go follow my friend the Heating Guy. You can find me everywhere, just Levi Wanner. It's always a pleasure. If you need any HVAC stuff done, go call Comfort Heating. They do a fantastic job. Thanks again.
Have a great day.
Nice, you guys.